All right, today we're doing something really cool. We're not just going to talk about a play, we're going to pop the hood and take apart a perfect little machine. That machine? It's Oscar Wilde's masterpiece, The Importance of Being Earnest. And its one and only purpose is to make us laugh. So let's get in there and see exactly how it works.
So this is the big question, right? Wilde himself called it a trivial comedy for serious people, and somehow more than 125 years later, it still feels sharp, it feels witty, and it is laugh-out-loud funny. How? What's the secret sauce for comedy that just doesn't get old? Well, that's exactly what we're about to find out.
You know, if you only know one line from this play, chances are it's this one. This is Lady Bracknell's completely stunned, deadpan reaction when she finds out the guy who wants to marry her daughter was, well, found as a baby, in a handbag, at a train station. It's totally absurd, it's hilarious, and it just perfectly sets the tone for the wild ride we're about to go on.
Okay, so to really get what Wilde is doing, we first need to look at the theory behind it all. It's kind of like learning the rules of a game before you can really appreciate how a master plays it. So what even is comedy, and what are its basic building blocks?
So at its heart, comedy drama is all about a few key things. First, it's about humor and making sure everything ends on a light, happy note. You know, marriages, people getting together. Second, it uses that humor to poke fun at the world, at society, at how we act. And finally, its goal is joy and bringing people together, basically the polar opposite of a tragedy, where everything ends in doom and gloom. And how does it do all that? Well, it has a very specific toolkit. These are the absolute fundamentals of making people laugh. You've got exaggeration, taking things way over the top, surprise, catching us off guard, witty wordplay that just dazzles you, and of course, mistaken identity, which creates all kinds of chaos. And trust me, we're going to see Wilde use every single one of these tools like a master surgeon. All right, let's dive into the plot first, which is built on this incredible foundation of deception. I mean, the whole story is powered by one big lie that just spirals out of control in the most fantastic way. And this brings us to one of comedy's oldest, most reliable tricks.
Mistaken identity. It's a pretty simple idea, right? You think someone is one person, but they're really someone else. This confusion is what drives all the misunderstandings, the ridiculous situations, and a ton of what we call dramatic irony. That's where we, the audience, know the secret, but the characters on stage have no clue. It's the best.
So the whole thing centers around our hero, Jack Worthing, who is living this insane double life. See, in the country, he's the responsible guardian Jack, with a high moral tone. But to escape that boredom, he's invented this fake, wicked younger brother named Ernest, who is always getting into dreadful scrapes that just happen to require Jack's urgent attention in London. And when he's in London, he is Ernest. Two totally different people living in one body.
And here's Jack himself, just laying out the lie that makes the whole play tick. This isn't just a gimmick, though. It's this brilliant satirical jab at Victorian society, a world where keeping up appearances was everything, and having a secret life was almost, well, necessary.
But look, a clever plot is one thing. You need the right people to come in and mess it all up. So now let's look at the characters. Because Wilde filled his world with these specific types, these archetypes, that are basically designed to create maximum comedic chaos.
And you can see how these archetypes just snap right into place. Jack is our everyman protagonist. He's the guy we're rooting for, even though his situation is ridiculous. His best friend, Algernon, he's the classic trickster, this dandy who lives for pleasure and just loves stirring up trouble for fun. And then you have the women, Gwendolyn and Cecily, who are these clever outsiders, operating on their own bizarre logic, totally flipping everyone else's plans upside down.
Okay, let's grab another tool from that comedic toolkit, exaggeration. This is when you take a totally normal human feeling or a social rule and just blow it up to such an absurd level that it becomes hilarious. And there is absolutely no one in this play who is a greater master of this than the one and only Lady Bracknell.
And I'm not kidding, one of the funniest lines ever written for the stage. So Jack, who's an orphan, is explaining his tragic backstory. And Lady Bracknell's response isn't sympathy. Oh no. It's basically an accusation of being sloppy. Wilde exaggerates her obsession with social status so much that a personal tragedy just becomes a minor social blunder. It's just savage, savage satire dressed up as a killer punchline.
So all of this, the deceptions, the exaggerations, it's all working towards a bigger goal. To satirize the incredibly stiff, repressive social rules of Victorian England. And Wilde's most ingenious weapon for this is a concept he invents right in the play.
the art of bun-burying.
And this whole idea of bun-burying touches on all the play's biggest themes. The romance is absurd because it's based on lies, the class dynamics get roasted through characters like Lady Bracknell, the very idea of identity becomes totally flexible, and in the end, the play is a huge celebration of how pure cleverness and wit can win out over stuffy, boring social rules. So, what exactly is bun-burying? Well, Jack has his fake brother Ernest, but his friend Algernon? Oh, he has perfected the art. He's invented a friend named Bunbury who is a permanent invalid. So whenever Algernon wants to ditch a boring dinner party, he just sadly announces that poor Bunbury has had another relapse and he must rush to his bedside. It is the ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card for any social event you don't want to go to.
And here's the master himself explaining his greatest creation. For Algernon, Bunbury isn't just an excuse, he's invaluable. He's an entire system for living a double life. He's the necessary lie you have to tell to survive in a world that demands you be proper and boring all the time.
You know, to really get a handle on what comedy is, it helps to look at what it isn't. Unlike a tragedy, which is all about downfall and death, comedy always ends in harmony. And unlike a historical drama, which is about power and politics, comedy is about love and absurdity. Wilde's play is 100% brilliantly in that first column. Everything is designed for delight, not for despair. Which brings us right back around to where we started. Why does this all still work so perfectly today? After breaking down the plot, the characters, and all the themes, the formula for why it never gets old becomes, well, crystal clear. It's this perfect recipe. You take completely ridiculous situations, you mix in dialogue that is just impossibly clever, and then, underneath it all, you add this razor-sharp critique of the way people pretend to be something they're not. That combination is just so potent, and since social hypocrisy, let's be honest, never really goes out of style, neither does the importance of being earnest. And that just leaves us with one final thought to chew on. We might not have imaginary sick friends named Bunbury, but we all find ways to get out of things we don't want to do, right? So I'll just leave you with this question. What is the modern equivalent of Bunburying? Maybe think about that the next time a "so sorry something came up" text message pops up on your phone. Thanks for watching.